Well, personally, I don't take things personal from people I don't know personally.
Words of wisdom from new Houston Texans wide receiver Stefon Diggs. Not going to lie, I kind of like it. I think we should all, the Angry Bees, take, that into account. We should all think about that. In case you didn't hear Mr. Stefon Diggs there, what he said is, personally, I don't take things personal from people I don't know personally. I think that's great advice for all of us in this little game that we like to call life.
Yes. Yeah, I do my best. Sometimes Junior Bronco gets to me. But for the most part, I'm okay. I agree.
We all have our demons.
He's mine.
For those who don't know, Junior Broncos is on our Twitch, twitch.tv/ESPN975. They're sometimes toxic, but we do enjoy them because they're always around for the show. You can watch us on YouTube as well, at ESPN Houston. We finally heard from Stefon Diggs. I did think it was pretty interesting that this is the first time that we heard from Diggs. Mm-hmm. We didn't hear from him at either of the Houston Texans OTA availabilities the last couple of weeks. We didn't hear from him right after the Texans traded for him. This is the first that we got to hear from him. He spoke for 15 minutes with the Houston media, and while it's not like you're going to learn that much from a press conference, I will admit I liked seeing him up there, and I think that he said all of the right things.
Yeah, I it is odd that we waited so long to hear from him. I was actually just more curious. Like, I appreciate that he talked about that he was asked about Buffalo. I thought you gave a good answer. Just because you like to hear players, speak about being on a new team, why they want to be here, where are they at in their career, what went wrong in the past, what is there a belief that went wrong and is not totally true, even just some of his side of what's going on versus the reality of it.
He credited Josh Allen for his time in Buffalo. He said that line that we played coming into the segment, that he doesn't care about the perception, that things didn't end well in Buffalo for him. With, again, personally, I don't take things personal from people I don't know personally. Not caring about other people, how they perceive you, it is hard. No matter who you are, it is hard. We, as we've just talked about, from time to time have our own moments where we deal with it, whether it's a caller or a texter or follower. Maybe it's someone in our personal life. For Diggs, that was a highly publicized end of his time in Buffalo that ended with the Bills changing their offense midseason. We talked with Tyler Dunn about it from the Go Long podcast, and he told us about how, the Bills started clicking when they phased him out of the offense. He had that big drop against the Chiefs. And he said in this conversation he had with Houston media that he felt like things were trending towards a trade, and the trade happened. And really all you can do after something like that goes down is say, I've learned some things along the way. He wouldn't really dive into that. He tried to talk around that when asked what are those lessons that you learned in Minnesota and in Buffalo.
I did find it interesting that, I guess, look, we don't, you don't listen to every single press conference, remember things that happened so long ago. He acknowledged that Minnesota basically sent him to Buffalo to fail.
He more than succeeded there. His numbers in Buffalo were incredible.
It's funny to hear, even someone just say, years later, of I don't think they traded me to Buffalo with the best intentions, and then it went very well for him, and it should go very well here for 1 year.
Especially with the way that he carried himself in this press conference. And again, it's one thing when it's the first couple of days, first couple of weeks at a new job. It's an entire other thing when things maybe aren't going so smoothly there. In the NFL, it's a really hard league, and the Texans have a very difficult schedule. But some of the things that he said along the way here, I really enjoyed, acknowledging that there are other good wide receivers on the team here. Here he is at yesterday's press conference talking about all of the talent and all of the mouths to feed, if it's something that needs to be in the back of everybody's mind, establishing a balance on that side of things.
mean, I feel like that's something I knew coming in. You know what I'm saying, before I got here. Obviously know that Nick had a hell of a year. Tank just got hurt. He was going to have a hell of a year. And it's always a balance. It's not my job to sling the field around. It's my job to call the plays. I just got to get open and catch it. So for me, it's not nothing I would worry about, considering, you do your job, you get the ball. And I feel like this offense is one of those offenses that got a lot of horses in the stable, you know what I'm saying? You let them all loose, we'll figure the rest out.
He's not coming in here thinking he's the alpha dog right away. And I like that. That's an important perspective to have, because that is legitimately the exact opposite of what the perception that he doesn't care about, because he doesn't personally take things personal from people he doesn't know personally. That was the perception, is that he's one of those guys that, like Antonio Brown, would freak out if, even in a game where he gets 17 targets, other guys have more numbers than him. And it's one thing to say it, of course, but this is exactly what you're supposed to say at a podium when you are joining a bunch of wide receivers who he acknowledges: Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and also John Mechie, who he acknowledged.
Yeah, and look, CJ, talked about this too, where he's like, if you're open, you're going to get the ball. And one of the things that it's reassuring for Stefon Diggs, I can't imagine he's like a watcher of a lot of college football. But one of the positives for this situation this year, with all the talent they have, and as he said, the horses in the stable, this is not the first time that CJ Stroud is going to look to his left and to his right and have incredible talent all around him. Think back to 2021. CJ Stroud at Ohio State was throwing passes to first-round pick Chris Olave, first-round picks Jackson Smith and Jigba, first-round pick Garrett Wilson. Like 3 first-rounders in his second to last year of college, and each one of them had over 60 catches, and almost all 3 of them had 1,000 yards or more in that season. So if you're open, CJ is going to get you the ball. Everybody's going to eat in this offense. Like, he might not have the numbers that Justin Jefferson has this year, Stefon Diggs, but he's going to put up numbers.
That is at least the hope. Specifically for him, I would imagine, as far as getting paid, but that might not be the priority anymore, because he was asked by Cole Thompson, I believe, or did Cole Thompson just
Cole's the only one who
post the
tweeted
clip?
it. Yeah.
He was asked if he feels that he's been chasing a Super Bowl. Here was his answer.
And I obviously believe in this team. I believe in the quarterback. Those are, unspoken things that we all can assume. But for me, chasing the ring isn't a like I came here to chase it. I came here to win. I'm saying that starts with a game one and moving forward. Of course, you want a ring, and it sounds good to be like you want a Super Bowl and you want a ring, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of consistency. For me, I take it in one day at a time. It starts in practice, it starts in the walkthrough, it starts in the meeting room. So for me, winning is always in the forefront of my brain with everything that I do. You know what I'm saying? But it's one thing at a time rather than just jumping the gun. I don't put the carrots before the horse.
Very good up to the last parts, the cart before the horse. Though there's obviously the stick and the carrot with the horse,
I think
too.
it just kind of crossed the streams a little bit.
He's not Nikola Jokic, right? Like Nikola Jokic, he wouldn't have those up because he's a horse guy.
No,
he's
but
got all the horse metaphors.
Look, he fits in with the Texans. He gets analogies wrong.
To go back, though, to this question, he was asked, hey, did you come here to chase rings? Essentially.
Came to win.
And his answer was one of those ones where he wasn't insulted by it. There's a lot of athletes who would be insulted by that question.
Yeah.
He did not feel that way. And, I mean, he said, the reason I came here is because I believe in this team and I believe in this quarterback. So he said all the right things. It's a press conference. The biggest question for all of us is truly going to be about how does he handle the tough times? Because I think the Texans are going to face some challenges this year that they didn't face last year. They're a year older. They're a year better. But they're going to be playing against some teams that are going to beat them, because no one goes undefeated in this league, but also they have the toughest schedule in the NFL outside of the AFC North.
Yeah, it's still the hope would be is that he is in a contract year and he's going to be on his best behavior. Like he's not going to have the freak out moments that he did have with Josh Allen on the sidelines, that he had with Kirk Cousins on the sideline in Minnesota. I think CJ Stroud is going to be a better quarterback, if not already a better quarterback than both of those guys. But he's going to want the ball because he also wants to get paid. So, like, how do you handle that? Winning does fix everything. Like when you talk about the frustrations he had in Buffalo this last year.
But they did win their last 6 games last year.
But they weren't winning when early on. So even like that's.
But when the
did.
offense changed is when he got frustrated.
Yeah, so we'll see.
That's the trickiest part about last year. And we asked Tyler Dunn about it. It's one thing to say all of these things. It's another thing to believe it. But I liked everything that I heard from him. I like that we finally got to hear from him as well.
Yeah, the first step is this. And yes, it is the first time he's talking as a Texan, and it's OTAs. It's June 4th when he was at the podium. So saying all the right things, you can only put so much weight into it. But at the very least, he is saying all the right things, and he is having the exact mindset that you would want him to have. Not just, he's not giving non-answers. He is giving answers that are the right answers.
He's showing a willingness to, one, acknowledge the fact that he's not necessarily the number one guy coming in here. But two, you can tell he's trying to impress people that are in the building because he feels like he needs to earn his spot. And how long that lasts, again, it's a big question. But he says he's trying to be himself. He's also trying to grow. I hope that happens. Truly do. Because, I was very skeptical about the idea of trading for Stefon Diggs. I pushed back on it a lot. Is this changing my mind? Is this making me feel like that's all in the rearview mirror? Not necessarily, but yesterday was a good start. And again, I'm glad we got to hear from him.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's had a tough couple days here in training camp. That's all we know. We saw one video yesterday. Derek Stingley Jr., he got him. Oof. Today, apparently, Christian Harris got a sideline interception when he was in coverage on Stefon Diggs.
Kamari Lassiter has apparently been good in coverage.
Can't even beat Christian Harris on a play.
Or
cooked.
Or this defense might be the best in the league.
That's what Joe Mixon said.
I hope.
Like, Joe Mixon was like, thank God I'm on this team.
I'm glad that you brought that quote up, Joe. Coming up next, hey, it's minicamp now. What observed at Texans minicamp is an observation and what's an exaggeration? We will discuss next.